India is the second largest producer of vegetables in the world, accounting for roughly 14% of the world's production of vegetables. Current production is over 87 million metric tons, and the area under vegetable cultivation is 5.9 million hectares. The important vegetables produced in India are cabbage, tomato, brinjal, onion, cauliflower, peas, potato, okra and cucurbits. Of late, exotic vegetables like broccoli, parsley, gherkins, asparagus and baby corn are gaining importance. The state of Andhra Pradesh is the second largest producer of fruits, vegetables and flowers in India after Uttar Pradesh. Andhra Pradesh produced 8.5 million tons of fruit and vegetables in 2002, and its government envisages production of over 30 million metric tons by the year 2020. With a rapidly growing urban population and changing dietary preferences towards fruits and vegetables, there is a growing market in India for horticultural produce. Vegetable production is one of the thrust areas for agricultural policy because of its potential to create employment, increase farmer incomes, feed agro-industrial ventures and generate export revenue. To match the anticipated shift in demand for vegetables and capture the potential for economic growth and poverty reduction, the Indian government has put into action the key elements for a golden revolution in horticulture. The government of Andhra Pradesh's vision for horticultural development, spelt out in its document Vision 2020, echoes national plans and strategies for horticulture. Horticulture expansion is to be achieved through incentives to stimulate exports, food processing and replacement of old cultivars with improved high-yielding varieties, dissemination of latest improved technology, and post-harvest management. In a conventional setting, vegetable production has typically benefited better-off farmers and tended to exclude the poor. But a number of innovations in resource sharing and marketing have emerged recently, especially in Chittoor. This film is about these new forms of contractual and sharecropping relationships that could help to ensure that the growing horticulture sector can benefit small and marginal farmers too. Let's look at the conventional vegetable production and marketing scenario. Villages on the periphery of large urban centers have grown vegetables for several decades. Within such villages, the vegetable growers are mainly large and medium farmers with irrigation and fields by the roadside. But access to the required resources can be difficult.
My name
is Gangaraju and I have 10 acres of land. We grow paddy, finger millet, potato and tomato. We bring the seed from Bellary in Karnataka. There is an input expense of 25,000 rupees per acre of land. We take loans from Cooperative Society Bank, Vaisya Bank and Central Bank to meet the cost of the inputs.
క్రాప్ లోన్ కింద
We avail the loan under the crop loan scheme.
వేరే టమాటా ఉర్లగడ్డ
For tomato and potato, we have to repay within 6 months,
అయితే సంవత్సరం
whereas for sugarcane crop, the repaying period is 1 year. It is not easy to get bank loans.
ఇస్తారు.
They don't give the loan to everybody. Only those who can repay and give bribes and are middle class get the loan.
నార్మల్ ఇయర్ ఒక విధంగా మధ్యతరగతి వాళ్ళకి ఇస్తారు.
Vegetables are traded through the 4,000 odd regulated markets or mandis for fruits and vegetables, most of which are located in urban and semi-urban areas. Farmers usually transport their produce themselves by public or private transport. At the mandi, the main point of contact for the farmer is the commission agent who mediates between the farmer and the trader.
I have 4 to 5 acres of land. We usually transport the produce to Chennai or to Tirupati. Sometimes the agents ask us to wait for the payment, which is not possible, so we take whatever price is offered. The return sometimes are just enough to cover the cost of transportation. It does not even cover the input cost to cultivate the crop. When I grew radish, the price at the time of sowing was good, but by the time of harvest, the rates fell drastically to 4 kgs per rupee. To transport the vegetables to Chennai, the cost is 60 rupees per bag. There, the selling price we get is 50 rupees to 60 rupees per bag, which is just enough to cover the cost of transportation. But again, we have to bear the commission cost of 6 rupees and labor cost of 5 rupees. We can avoid commission and get a good price if we sell to the surrounding villages by carrying the produce on our heads. But this is possible only for small quantities of 30 to 50 kgs. In this case, there is no commission, but only gate fees. This is not possible all the time because we grow in larger quantities. The commission agent makes the most out of the transaction even without investment. He gets income from both the parties, whereas we have to bear the cost of labor, which is 15 rupees per quintal, transport, which is 45 rupees per quintal, and commission, which is 50 rupees. So what profit are we left with? The agent in the market gives us the seed, fertilizer, pesticide and loan. As we are indebted to him, at the time of sale, we cannot bargain about the price. He deducts the amount loaned along with the interest and then pays us.
మన దగ్గర అప్పు ఉంటాం కాబట్టి వాడు యా రేట్ వేసినా మాట్లాడాలి మనం. మన దగ్గర అప్పు ఉంటాం మనము, వాడు అన్ని మార్కెట్లో అప్పు లేని వాళ్ళు అంతా 10 రూపాయలు కేజీ అమ్ముతా ఉంటే మనకి 7 రూపాయలతో పట్టి కట్టిస్తాడు. మనకి అప్పు ఉంటాం మనము, ఇంకేం మాట్లాడేకి లేదు. వాడు మనకి ముందుకి ఇంకా ఇచ్చిండే దీనికి వడ్డీతో సహా రెట్టింపు పెరుకునేస్తాడు వాడు మన దగ్గర.
As the agent supplies credit and inputs, he has priority rights on the purchase of the product and is well placed to bargain down the price with poorer producers. In other words, what we are seeing here is an interlocking of markets for credit, inputs and produce.
నా పేరు వేణుగోపాల్. ఇక్కడ మేము మార్కెట్ యార్డ్లో కమిషన్ ఏజెంట్గా పనిచేస్తుంటాము.
My name is Venugopal, commission agent in the market yard.
మేము విత్తనాలు, ఎరువులు,
We give loans to the farmers for seed, fertilizers, borewells and purchase back the produce from them.
రైతుకి అన్ని రకాల
We give all kinds of support to the farmers.
వాళ్ళకి కొన్ని
In
ప్రాంతాల
cases where the farmers are unable to transport the bullock carts, we are providing transport.
వాళ్ళకి ఎరువులు
We are giving fertilizers, seeds and monetary help.
ఇంకా వాళ్ళకి కావాలంటే ఇంకా
Farmers approach us because banks don't give loans for tomato crop.
సపోర్ట్ చేస్తారు.
And for other crops also, there are too many formalities to fulfill.
కానీ ఇక్కడ వ్యాపారస్తులు
There is no crop loan facility for tomato crop.
ఎన్ని ఫార్మాలిటీస్ ఉంటాయి సార్? టమాటా మీద బ్యాంకులో ఎక్కడ ఇవ్వరు సార్.
Agents fulfill a very important function by reducing the transaction costs for the farmer. For better off farmers, this kind of brokering service is key to ensuring that their perishable produce gets the best price possible and is rapidly transported to wholesalers and retail outlets in far-off places. But for the poorer farmers, the relationship with agents is more complex because agents are usually their primary source of credit and inputs when formal institutions are inaccessible.
I took a loan of 1,000 rupees for fertilizers and pesticides from the market agent, Mr. Shankara. We are not aware of how to approach banks to get loans, and also we don't know anybody there. So we take it from the market agent, as we know he will give it. We can get a better price in Chennai or Bangalore, but we have to sell it to the agent as we have taken the loan from him. We go to banks for other transactions, but for loans, we don't know what kind of formalities are to be fulfilled or what applications to give. We don't know anybody who can complete and forward the applications for us.
It is not difficult to imagine that in such a setting, medium and large farmers who are mainly upper castes outnumber the lower castes with smaller holdings and poorer access to credit, input markets and extension services. Even if loans are obtained through official channels, the terms can be very hard for less well-off farmers.
మాకు చేను వచ్చి 1 ఎకరా 40 సెంట్లు ఉంది. ఇది వరకు ముందు 10 ఏళ్ళకి ముందుకు ఇంకా మాకు
I have 1 acre and 40 cents of dry land and 68 cents of wetland. I have a pump along the stream and have a 3 HP motor fixed to the pipeline. I draw water from the stream or tank when the water is full and flowing. Earlier, I used to plant tomato, paddy and ragi. The crops were good during that time. 2 to 3 years ago, I connected a 1,000-meter length pipeline to higher ground and planted coriander. The crop was good, but did not get a good market price as there was a glut in the market. We fed it to the animals. Next we planted tomato, but that sold at 5 rupees per box. We did not even cover the cost of labor or transportation. This happened due to the glut in the market. Next I planted coriander again, but I was sold the wrong seed. I thought it was golden Vigro seed, but they had given me a local seed. So within 20 days of planting, it flowered and got diseased. The crop was a loss. I incurred a loss of 5 to 6,000 rupees. The agriculture officers are not available when we need them to ask for seed. Even if we ask them, they tell us to purchase from private dealers, as the seed is not available with the government. We cannot differentiate between the original and the duplicate seed, so we get duped. Next I planted brinjal, but the rains failed and the crop dried due to drought. To construct the pipeline, I took a loan of 50,000 rupees from the DCC bank after giving a false collateral for 5 acres of land. To fill up the application, the Reddy village administrative officer, now assistant village secretary, took a bribe of 5,000 rupees. At the time of the release of the loan amount, the bank officials and supervisor took a bribe of approximately 5,000 rupees. We make loans due to unavailability of funds, and the officials take a cut of 3,000 rupees for every 10,000 rupees they give. So we get only 7,000 rupees for a loan amount of 10,000 rupees, and we have to repay 20,000 rupees. In addition, we have to pay according to a fixed repayment pattern. If we don't, then they come to our homes and insult us, throw out our vessels and generally harass us. For a loan of 45,000 rupees, I paid 10,000 rupees as bribes and got only 35,000 rupees. Now, I have to repay an amount of 90,000 rupees. We also make loans with money lenders at an interest rate of 5% per month for agricultural inputs. The interest varies depending on the need and urgency.
5-6 అకస్మాత్ మనకు ఎమర్జెన్సీని బట్టి ఇంకా ఎక్కువ రేటు వడ్డీతో కూడా తీసుకొని వాడుకొని దానికి ఇంట్రెస్ట్ వేసి కడతా ఉన్నాం సార్.
More recently, contract farming or outgrower schemes have gained popularity amongst large and medium farmers. Contract farming is being encouraged under the new horticultural policy. Several vegetables like gherkins are being produced specifically for the export market. This has attracted criticism from some NGOs because of the potentially negative consequences for small producers who may not be able to compete in the international market, and also because of the threat to local food production systems and the environment. Companies located within agricultural export zones are being offered incentives to enter into contract farming arrangements with producers. This is done to improve standards related to variety, farming techniques, handling, packaging, storage and processing, and cutting wastage. In the last 2 years, 32 agriculture export zones have been identified for specific commodities in India.
We mainly deal with the gherkins, export of gherkins. We pasteurize them in bottles, glass bottles, and export them. Apart from gherkins, we have exported even chilies, onions, carrots. It's as mixed vegetable, even cauliflower. These come from the local fields. Only in case of gherkins, we give them the seeds and get it grown for us. It's contract farming. There are middlemen, they are called facilitators. We make a contract with them. We give them the inputs like seeds. In turn, they give it to the farmers. They arrange for its cultivation in the rural areas. We give them a fixed price. That price holds good till the material is received. And we give them the input like seeds. In turn, these middlemen, the facilitators, they approach the farmers. They have better contact with the farmers because normally they belong to the place where they grow it. They give the seeds to the farmer and they give inputs like fertilizers, pesticides to the farmers. Then after the harvest, they collect it and transport. The transport arrangement is done by the facilitator. The facilitator many times loses if the field fails because he has given the input to the farmer. He has given seeds, he has given pesticides, he has given fertilizer, and ultimately if he doesn't get anything from the field, he is going to lose all that. And secondly, normally when they do it, we call it cluster farming. At least 25 to 30 acres from the same village to help him for the transport. And if he loses any field in the transport, he is going to lose. He doesn't get the full volume for transport, and per kilo expense will be more for him. As far as gherkins is concerned, the export market is growing. Now, see, in the beginning hardly 1 or 2 companies were operating. That was in early 80s. And now we have at least 15 to 20 companies around Bangalore. Every year we see 2-3 companies coming up.
Clearly, large profits are to be made, but for the poor the main benefit is likely to be employment generation, because in general, vegetable crops need more labor inputs compared to cereals. And unless real wages show an appreciable increase, most of the profits from contract farming will go to the non-poor.
I don't have a borewell. I have 1.5 acres of dry land and 0.5 acres of tank irrigated wetland. If there are rains, we cultivate. Otherwise, we go for wage work. I don't cultivate vegetables, only ragi and paddy. I go for wage work on the fields of borewell owners in Ramasamudram. I work in tomato and sugarcane fields. I get 30 rupees to 40 rupees per day. I am not taking any loans to dig borewells as we don't have the repaying capacity.
But new arrangements of resource sharing and marketing have started to emerge in parts of Chittor district, which hold much promise to help the poor in gaining from horticulture. Chittor district lies in the dry region of Rayalaseema, bordering the states of Karnataka and Tamil Nadu. Many villages here have reasonably easy access to major cities in both the states. VP is one such village located 120 kilometers from the capital cities of Bangalore and Chennai. A number of pro-poor innovations in vegetable production and marketing have emerged here in the last 10 years. These are broadly of 5 types. 1. Collective loan taking for tube wells and water sharing. A loan is taken by one farmer but is shared by a group of 5 to 10 farmers who agree to collectively bear the expenses of drilling a tube well and sharing the water.
అది మేము శక్తి లేక
5 of us have collectively dug a bore well as we can't afford to dig individually. Our land holdings are small and we share the water. The agreement is verbal. Each one of us irrigates our field for a day in rotation. Previously, we used to grow tomato, paddy and chili. We used to get 10,000 rupees per acre on tomato crop. But now, due to the drought, there is hardly any water left in the borewell.
2. Sharecropping. Sharecropping is not a new arrangement, but it is mentioned here because it has enabled poor scheduled caste and backward caste farmers without lands to grow tomatoes. A majority of SC households and a few BC households in the villages sharecrop land owned by the powerful Reddy clans. Sharecroppers provide labor and landlords supply inputs. Produce is shared on an equal basis. This practice is found mainly on tank irrigated lands and occasionally tube well irrigated land, perceived as risky by the owner because of deteriorating water availability. Such lands are not expected to yield very high quantities, but for the laborers it is a very important source of livelihood. Families with no one to look after the land may also give it out for sharecropping.
My name is Narayanappa. I have about 0.5 acres of dry land without irrigation facility. I took up a Reddy's land which has a tube well. He gives land, water and one-time investment on fertilizer. The seed cost is shared between us. We share the final produce equally.
3. Collective leasing out of land. In this arrangement, small and marginal farmers without irrigation facilities collectively lease out their dry plots of land to an outsider from Andhra Pradesh. In VP, they have leased out to a farmer from Kalagada village. The outsiders are a part of a value chain to urban centers, and the chain is not fixed. The produce may end up with supermarkets, it may be sold in open markets, or may be exported. Outsiders acquire the land on a verbal lease and drill a new tube well. Then they grow irrigated crops such as tomato, brinjal, snake gourd, chilies and radish. The cultivation is done by conventional methods and drip irrigation has not been used. This is a form of contract farming, but there is no written contract and no government involvement.
Altogether, 5 farmers owning land here gave it on a temporary lease to an outsider who dug a borewell here. The lease was for 2 cropping seasons. After the lease was over, the outsider left a working borewell and the connecting pipeline. Now everyone is cultivating the lands individually and are growing tomatoes. When the land was given on lease, the farmers worked as wage laborers on the land. Now they have taken loans locally and started cultivating on their own.
The arrangement has worked because partnerships are not imposed by government but are entered into voluntarily by groups of friends and relatives who have already established relationships of trust. 4. Labor-water exchange. In this arrangement, marginal farmers obtain irrigation water from neighboring farmers with tube wells. They pay for the water with their own labor and never with cash. The exchange usually occurs between members of the same caste, mainly because habitations are by caste. The water is used to grow vegetables all year round if water is available. Since both parties belong to the same caste, There is mutual trust and transparency in the arrangement, and this form of mutual help through social networks here is undoubtedly an asset that has helped these poor farmers in gaining access to the horticultural boom.
Subramaniam has a dual well. He shares the water with me. I repay him by working on his fields.
5. Crop water sharing. In this arrangement, tube well water is obtained in exchange for a third of the produce.
When we share water with the adjacent farmer, we give him 1/3 of our crop produce.
The fact that more and more farmers are keen on adopting labor water exchange, sharecropping, group leasing and contract farming arrangements demonstrates their success. The reasons why these initiatives have worked for the poor are: first, the groups and institutions that have evolved are functioning democratically and transparently, as they are based on social cohesion, a genuinely shared cause, and culturally accepted norms of cooperation and sharing. Second, farmers can bypass potentially exploitative commission agents at the mandi and deal with outsiders directly. Third, people with marginal and sub-marginal land holdings can get access to opportunities in horticulture. Finally, informal contract farming arrangements do not involve lengthy procedures and bribes to officials, which formal arrangements usually do. These kinds of small-scale and location-specific partnerships between farmers and the private sector have worked well and could offer important lessons for other parts of India. But the overall institutional, cultural, infrastructural and market context has to be taken into consideration. 3 lessons stand out. 1. Government should play no more than an indirectly supportive role in such informal partnerships between people and the private sector. Direct intervention and regulation could stifle such initiatives rather than help them. 2. Mainstream arrangements involving banks, officials, government departments and traders normally exclude lower caste and poor people. These problems could hamper horticultural development. 3. Horticultural policy needs to include labourers, tenant farmers and sharecroppers in its vision by moving away from a preoccupation with land-owning producers. The question that remains is how these lessons can be incorporated into policy and how successes can be scaled up. More field-level investigations on such innovations are needed.
Randal bhai,